have a lesson on this piece. This comes from my new book, Grade 1 Repertoire Lessons. You can check that out. There's a link for it under the video. It has 8 pieces in it. And lessons, a couple pages of lessons followed by the actual piece. But you can watch these videos for free and just kind of like learn how I approach pieces at this level. Don't forget the piece can go at multiple different speeds. So if you play it slower, you can just focus on the melody a little bit more. If you play it faster, you might end up focusing on the dance feel a little bit more. Really just feeling like one beat per bar. One thing about the key signature, we've been studying key signatures a little bit, especially in my method books, but then and a little bit in this book. This piece can't really be necessarily defined clearly as in a specific major or minor key. Renaissance music sometimes starts in one key and ends in a different one. They also use modes, so sometimes you're not specifically in major or minor, but you're in one of those modes from that era. I've chosen the key signature of A major for this piece because the second half of the piece is pretty firmly in A major, and that's how it ends. And so I've decided to kind of choose that as your key. So maybe a good thing to do first would just be to review an A major scale. So I have that written out in the book for you. Warming up in the scale just kind of teaches you, reminds you of what the key signature is, gets you remembering like where the G sharps are and the C sharps. It's like key awareness, right? The more you're aware of your key, the more you'll be able to anticipate what happens in the piece. I've also written out an A major scale with a G natural to kind of represent the first half of the piece. So that would be like playing in D major but starting on A. In a mode, this would be A mixolydian, but let's not get too deep into the music theory because at the grade 1 level, you just want to kind of have a general awareness. But this is good reading practice for you, right? I mean, the natural sign comes up on the G in the piece, so let's practice it. Just up to the highest note. Now, more importantly though for this piece is we got to practice the chords. The chord shapes, like this piece is actually pretty difficult for this grade level, and I realized that, but I put it in the book anyway because most of the chords are just, you know, like A major, D, E, and A. If you get really comfortable switching between those chords, you should be able to navigate the piece, at least at a slow tempo, right? So first thing, let's just practice those chords. So an A major chord gets used lots in the piece with actually in its full form. D, E, and A. But one other thing you can do is that this piece has a dotted eighth rhythm in it. That 1, 2, and 3, 1, 2, and 3. That rhythm, you might want to practice the chords to that rhythm just to kind of train your hands and get the rhythm of the piece kind of into your body and get that dance feel happening. I'm strumming down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. Just with my thumb, you know, just like to get an idea of what it feels like to play those chords. It's kind of like jamming on the idea of the piece, right? Which is a great way to get you into the mood and the feel of the piece without actually having to like work on all the intricacies of the actual piece, all the left hand notes and right hand stuff. Of course, this piece also has a nice melody. So let's practice the melody on its own and try to make it idealized as possible. And then when we play it in the piece with all the other notes around it, we'll try to make it legato and nice as well. But if you can't do it on its own, then obviously it's going to be harder in the piece. So always play the melody on its own. I pretty much said that for every single piece. And I'm sorry it's so repetitive, but it's just true every time. That kind of allows you to work on the piece, work on the rhythm of the piece, and kind of get that all together. And it's really nice, like violin players play just melody all the time. Guitarists are so often playing so much other stuff that they forget to just practice melody. So when you play the piece, you have to combine a lot of those things, but essentially melody and chords. So that's A major, D, D of course, and A. So you might find it difficult, but just go slow. Sorry. And if you look at my left hand, it doesn't actually require that much. So it might seem a little difficult at first, but it's pretty minimal movement as long as you know the chords and you know the melody and you're comfortable with the rhythm. If you have those three things, I think you're going to be just fine and just enjoy that light, dancey feel of this Renaissance work. One other thing I'll say is that because of all the 4-note chords and 3-note chords, you're going to repeat right hand fingers. So do your best to alternate fingers when you have a little melodic, like 2 melodic notes next to each other. And do your best the rest of the time. Sometimes you're going to have to repeat right hand fingers, so it's inevitable. Just keep your ear open for legato and make sure you're smoothing it out and you're playing your rhythm nicely. And don't worry too much about that. I've notated some specific spots, especially just at the beginning there, just to give you an idea of what the fingering might be like. But don't get too hung up on the right hand fingering. Just do your best to alternate when you can, and the rest of the time you have to grab chords.